Our client Nadia, like many other ghostwriters, was struggling to find clients, spending way too much time on social media looking for them, and struggling to balance her 9 to 5 job with ghostwriting. Within just 4 months of working with us and flipping the pattern, Nadia is now closing $20,000 book ghostwriting projects and has many more projects in the pipeline coming up. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact mistakes she was making before working with us, how we fixed them, and how you can do the same thing so you can start seeing similar results for your ghostwriting business. Let's get right into it. Again, so our client Nadia, like many other writers, was struggling to find clients, spending too much time outreaching on social media platforms, and was struggling to balance her ghostwriting business with her 9 to 5 because, especially when you are in the beginning phases of building your business, you might also have another job, another side hustle that you're doing to keep things going, right? So, um, after working with us and after implementing this system, she now has made $50,000 in 4 months. She signed $20,000 clients, right? So this is made of 2 clients and a smaller project. And she has more bigger projects in her pipeline that are ready to close later this year. So as you can see, Nadia went from struggling to now winning as a ghostwriter. So how exactly did we help her transform her business? Well, let's go over the 4 main struggles that she had, which I can guarantee that you are most likely experiencing too if you've been a book ghostwriter for more than a couple of months. Now, the first struggle, finding clients was difficult. Most ghostwriters, and probably you as well, rely on referrals and random connections or hope to land clients. You just hope that if you put yourself out there and you just explain to people what you do, that people will just come to you with money in their hands, like flashing their credit cards, ready to work with you. But that's just like fishing without bait. It's just like throwing something in the water, letting people know, hey, I'm fishing, but you have no bait to catch the right fish. So you might catch something occasionally, right, out of luck, but you'll spend most of your time waiting. And I can tell you right now, and you probably know this from your other areas in life, that luck isn't a very reliable strategy, right? Otherwise, everyone would just rely on luck. The second struggle she was spending way too much time on social media. So she was spending hours every single day trying to market herself on platforms she didn't understand or enjoy with minimal results, right? Because after you do this for a while, after you rely on hope, you realize that, hey, I have to be proactive about it. So then you move on to these platforms. And then when you move on to these platforms, you find yourself spending way too much time doing this. And as she put it in our interview, which I'm pretty sure is going to be linked in the description, and you can watch to see her her side of the story as well. She said that is not my forte at all, and I'm pretty sure it's not your forte at all. Your forte is writing amazing memoirs, amazing books. It's not wasting hours of your day on social media, right? The third struggle was that sales calls felt pushy and desperate. So she was following advice that made her uncomfortable, and just watching like a snake oil sales script and trying to implement that for ghostwriting. And it probably turned off potential clients. And it wasn't even the script that was turning off potential clients. It was the visible nervousness that Nadia had on these calls because she wasn't feeling authentic with her sales process. And she constantly felt like she needed some new fancy strategy or a magic pre-written pitch that can just hypnotize people, but that's really not how it works. And the fourth struggle, as I said, was balancing ghostwriting with a 9 to 5 job. Like many of you, Nadia was trying to build her business to escape the job and then doing both at the same time, right? Client acquisition and then also working full time, left little energy for client work or her own writing projects because she's also a fiction writer. So, does that sound familiar? If yes, you should keep watching. If you don't have any of these problems, then I'm afraid this training is not going to help you, right? So I just want to be transparent. And the truth is, there are 3 critical mistakes most ghostwriters make that keep them trapped in this cycle. So now let's discuss them and the exact steps and how we help Nadia overcome these 4 struggles that I just shared with you, and how you can finally grow your ghostwriting business without facing those things. So mistake number 1, doing everything yourself. So most ghostwriters, they try to handle everything: finding clients, pitching the clients, negotiating, writing, marketing themselves, following up, invoicing, keeping track of everything, was also having a life to live, a 9 to 5, a family, other responsibilities, other commitments, right? And this is absolutely killing you and your business because if your attention is spread like 10% in a million directions, you're never going to be full on. And guess what? It's not only your business that's going to get affected. It's going to be your family relationships as well. It's going to be your 9 to 5 performance as well, right? So it's going to be just a spiral down of negativity if you keep yourself in this cycle of being a jack of all trades. Sorry. So here's what we implemented for Nadia to make sure she gets out of this cycle. Because if you look at your activities here, most probably you're spending most time right now marketing yourself, right? And if you're not spending most of your time marketing yourself, you will have to, because your current clients are just you're gonna finish the project and you're gonna do new ones, right? So first of all, we paid her with a specialized VA who took over all social media and outreach. So basically, all those hours every single day, every single week that she was spending on social media are now delegated. And we created a documented process for client communication, right? So we created documented process for client communications, which means that we help the VA, obviously, like outside of their experience with the social media platforms, learn our strategy that actually gets results. And we set up automation for routine follow-ups and admin tasks for the business, right? So as much time as we can save, even if it's 1 hour a week, if you look at it from a 30 years perspective, that's a lot of time that you're getting back. So we try to set up as many automations as possible on that end. And this delegation system immediately lifted a massive burden, giving Nadia mental space to focus on her craft while qualified team members handled the outreach. And in her words, not having to do the social media has been a huge way off of my mind. And honestly, that alone led to a better quality of life. And I can only imagine, right? Imagine getting out of where you are right now, getting better results in terms of acquisition and earning your time back every single day. I mean, that's a win-win situation, right? And within days, her pipeline began filling with higher quality leads without her having to chase them. And her VA handles the DMs and responses without overthinking, while Nadia can focus on what she does best, which is writing and taking care of her job and her family. Um, Here's what you need to understand. Your time is worth more writing for clients than it is performing tasks that would easily be delegated. And that's the truth. That's why you are a ghostwriter. You're not an outreach specialist, because your highest value skill is writing. It's not reaching out to people and identifying leads. And you can find skilled professionals that can do the prospecting for you for $3 to $10 an hour, right? And this person will find and qualify the leads. They will send personalized outreach messages. They will follow up consistently. They will manage conversations, and they will book appointments on your calendar. And for this small price, you are saving yourself the hours and the constant headache of doing jobs that you don't want to do and you don't need to do. I mean, imagine paying $9 a day to have all of your prospecting taken care of, right? And that's exactly the system we've built for Nadia. And $9 a day, I mean, that's what? A cup of coffee at Starbucks, right? I'm not familiar with the American rates for that, but I'm pretty sure that's what you're getting for that money here in Europe, right? For Starbucks. So that's literally how you can delegate that process. Now, mistake number two, she had no systematic sales process in place, right? So it doesn't matter if she got 0 calls or 15 sales calls from the specialist that is doing her work, she couldn't close deals, right? So she was getting on sales calls, but she couldn't close the deal. So what we did is we implemented a systematic sales process. And most ghostwriters, they just wing their sales calls. You just go on there and you just hope that it's going to be a positive outcome. Just like with outreach, right? Again, you're relying on hope. You get on the phone, nervously try to explain what you do, and you hope that the client will say yes. And if they don't say yes, then that's where the effort ends, right? Well, that's the wrong way of doing sales. And you most likely have a generic sales pitch. You don't know how to handle objections. You don't know how to actually close on the call, right? It's just you, your presentation. Whatever happens after the presentation, God have mercy. That's kind of how you go into the calls, right? And this is why Nadia was struggling with those pushy sales calls that felt desperate, because she felt that this wasn't enough. But instead of implementing a systematized and authentic sales process, she just tried to copy what others were doing. And that works sometimes, but I don't feel like it's working in this industry. So here's the system we implemented for Nadia.
we implemented a pre-call qualification process that filters out time wasters, because I'm pretty sure you don't really want to spend 1 hour on Zoom with someone and at the end of the call you're gonna hear the famous "it's out of my budget" or "let me speak with my wife" or any of that, right? So we implemented a pre-call qualification, which is basically a form that people have to fill out before they book the appointment, kind of like going to the doctor and like saying what hurts you, right? And then the doctor can figure out if it's worth a visit or not. So that's exactly what we did with the pre-call qualification process. Then we implemented a professionally designed automated scheduling system that builds credibility, right? So it's not just people booking on a calendar page, they go through a whole system with resources, with videos from Nadia, with homework to prepare for the call. So they feel like it's more of an interactive experience and they feel like they're already start working with you right before the call and they get to know you, right? And then when you get on the call, because you have all this made pre-call, you just need a structured sales call framework that feels like a natural conversation, because the hard part has been done by the pre-call process. And obviously, you also need to be prepared for objections, because objections and smoke screens and hesitations will always be part of the process, right? 80% of your calls will have hesitations and objections at the end. So if you don't know how to handle them, if you don't know how to get into a productive conversation with the prospect, then you are just going to, again, wing it with generic sales advice from the internet and making people feel like they're pressured to stay on the conversation with you, which is not something that you want, right? The systematic approach transformed Nadia's sales calls from awkward pitches into professional consultations that felt like actual workshops for the clients. And they began seeing her as an authority rather than a service provider that's trying to sell them something. And her close rate jumped dramatically from no deals in a couple of years to, as I said earlier, making over $50,000 in just a couple of months, right? So that's the drastic change in the sales process. But it goes beyond the call itself. The automated system that I just mentioned does half the work before she ever gets on the phone. And potential clients already feel like they know her, which builds credibility and saves time from "who you are and why should I trust you," that part of the call, right? We didn't just give her the framework. We provided comprehensive training on handling objections as well, and understanding the objections and having a genuine conversation to see if it's a real thing or if it can be or if you can overcome it. And we created a complete library of proven responses to every common objection ghostwriters face that can move the conversation forward into a dialogue, right? Because when someone says, "I could write it myself, that's too expensive, I need to think about it," and dozens more like that I know you're hearing every single day, they're basically, what are they doing? They're basically saying no in a polite way. That's what it is. It's either yes or no. And if they don't want to work with you, then that's clearly a no. So what you need to do is you need to open a dialogue and see if that is actually a no, in which case that's fine. We don't want to work with everyone, but there are some people disguising their own fear into these soft no's because they're too scared. If someone genuinely didn't want to work with you, they would just say, "Look, I understood everything. I listened to the call. I don't like this. I'm not going to move forward with it." Am I right? And if someone says, that's a bit too expensive, I need to think about it, I'm not sure, I have to look at the budgets and stuff like that, they want to go forward, right? And that's why they dedicated time to jump on a call with you, to listen to your pitch, to do all that. But they just need that little extra push to overcome their own hesitations. So that's what we need to do with objections. And Nadia studied these objection handlers so thoroughly that during calls, she could confidently address concerns without hesitation and doing it again in an authentic way. And this training transformed moments that would typically derail a sale into opportunities to strengthen her relationship with prospects and reinforce her value. Because when you help people take a decision like this, they will respect you if you actually push them to take the decision, especially if you work with business owners, right? And all this put together makes the sale 10 times easier. Now, mistake number 3 and the last one is not packaging your services properly. These are 3 common mistakes I see every ghostwriter make when it comes to offers and packaging. Number 1 is a bad generic offer. Number 2 is not offering clarity on what happens after you deliver your service. And then number 3 is poorly priced services. And let me break these down some more for you. What do I mean by a bad or generic offer? Well, first, most ghostwriters, they have a generic offer that doesn't stand out. They'll say, I write your book and charge by the word or by the page, right? I will write compelling words. I will turn your vision into a manuscript or whatever, right? This commoditizes their service and forces them to compete on price against thousands of others, because this gives off the vibe that, hey, this is just another writer and I have like a million writers to choose from. And in that moment, you become a commodity. You're going to be like, imagine the difference between this is going to be a very weird example, but imagine the difference between a chocolate in a supermarket competing with 10,000 different chocolates on the same row, and the customer has to pick all the time. And now imagine a branded chocolate, like imagine Mr. Beast chocolate. You probably know Mr. Beast, right? Imagine him, branded chocolate. He has his own like mini locations in stores. Nobody's competing with him, and he's selling the chocolate because of the value he provided to people. He's not selling the chocolate because it's best in the world, because we all know Hershey's is still better, right? But that's the point I'm trying to make here. So you need to stop having a bad generic offer. Now, not offering clarity moving forward. Let's understand one thing. People work with you as a ghostwriter and they pay you multiple five figures to solve their problem, not just part of it. What does that mean? Well, most of you are offering your services up until a finished manuscript, right? But you also need to offer a gateway into publishing and marketing the book, right? Because many people will hesitate to work with you if they only get 60% of the job done, right? And that's why on the sales call, you need to understand, hey, like, what is it that you're trying to achieve by writing this book? Because no one writes a book just to have a polished manuscript in their hand, right? Nobody does that. They have a higher intent goal, whether that is leaving a legacy, closing more business, selling a business, or getting clout in their industry, whatever it is, there is something that they want. And I promise you, either publishing or marketing or both are going to fall into place when they need to achieve that goal. So if you can give them the comfort of, hey, look, you're not going to be alone. After you finish the book with me, I'm going to guide you into what the best publisher is. I'm going to connect you with them. I'm going to share my marketing people with you, right? And that's how you make the sale over everyone else that is only getting 60% of the job done, right? It's just like hiring someone that can mow the lawn, right? Completely over someone that can just cut the high grass and just leave the other part for you to figure out, right? And lastly, poorly priced. Relying on a paper word basis is never consistent. Why? Because if someone wants like an 80,000 word book, which is, I know it's a bit long for memoirs and stuff like that, but I mean, come on. You cannot charge $80,000 if you're a beginner, right? If you're experienced, maybe you can, but you need to start charging for the value and the quality you offer. So instead of going like 20 cents per word, because that makes sense, and then you get stuck with like low word count projects that only make like 10 to 15 grand, right? And you drag those projects for 6 months, charge 30K both for 60,000 word memoirs and for 20,000 word books, because at the end of the day, you have to focus on the value those people are getting out of the book. So here's how we completely transformed Nadia's approach around this. So first of all, we refined her offer and created a complete book package that the industry actually wanted, and she actually was able to get in touch with publishers, build relationships, and have that part figured out. And then we focused exclusively on clients who had both the means and motivation to invest in a professional book. And then we implemented the outreach system that consistently put her offer in front of ideal prospects that I mentioned earlier. Rather than waiting for clients, she began generating conversations with exactly the right people on a daily basis. This approach allowed Nadia to charge 5 figures per project after coming from a place of fear, a place of who am I to charge more than $10,000, right? And not waste time on unqualified prospects. And when your offer addresses the complete problem your ideal client faces, you can command premium rates because they're paying to solve a problem. They're not paying for words. That's what you have to understand. Most importantly, this wasn't just about making money. The higher project values meant Nadia could take on fewer clients, spend more time delivering exceptional work, and still make more than she was making before, right? Because now her quality goes up. She's going to be able to charge more and more and more because of that. And she will eventually be in a place where she can work with just a handful of clients a year, make her money, be known for the quality she offers, and that's pretty much how you win in life at ghostwriting, right? That's it. So where is Nadia now? Well, she's gone from struggling to find clients to having 3 lined up, all at premium rates with more prospects in the pipeline. The system we've built together takes minutes a day to maintain, giving her back precious time. I literally just see her in the chat just typing in good morning and good night, and that's literally it, most of the time. And then she's on track to leave her 9 to 5 job by the end of the year, which will not only provide better income and better quality of life, but also more time for her own fiction writing. Because it just happens that Nadia is also a fiction writer. I know not everyone watching this video will also write fiction, but you get the point. More time to focus on what she wants and loves to do. This transformation wasn't just financial, because Nadia now experiences less stress, more enjoyment in her work, and the satisfaction of doing what she loves on her own terms. But I want to address something important. Making this type of business transformation requires overcoming fear and hesitation yourself, right? Just as you need to help prospects overcome that fear and hesitation, you have to do the same for yourself. Because Nadia, like many others, when I initially spoke with her, she had been burned by other programs, like, I'm not going to get into the details, but just paying money to people that didn't help her, right? That's pretty much it. And she also had a full-time job that didn't pay enough, making it hard to invest in her business. So you can imagine, like, even investing 3 figures, like, would have been a lot for her, right? And she made the commitment and the sacrifice to invest more than that. And the key insight that helped her move forward was realizing she didn't need to reinvent the wheel. She needed a proven system that works, right? And she got out of that place of hesitation and fear, moved forward, and I promise you, she's now in a way better place than probably if she would have been in if she would have just continued with the self-doubt and the fear and everything that held her back as a ghostwriter. And why we've managed to build this for Nadia is because I've spent the last few years perfecting this system, and in the process, I have helped not just Nadia, but hundreds of writers completely change their business and life, right? And we haven't worked just with ghostwriters, right? So Carolyn is a finance copywriter, and we help her scale her income to $5,000 a month in just 35 days of working together. Bridget, she's an email marketer. She got 3 retainers and quit her corporate 9 to 5 job in just a few months. Now, April and David, these guys are ghostwriters. And April, similar to Nadia, she had $60,000 closed in 3 months. And David is now making about 170,000 US dollars a year as a ghostwriter because he got himself fully booked in 5 months of working with us, right? So, if you're a freelance writer and you want to find out how we can implement this system in your business to get results similar to Nadia's and the rest of our clients, then feel free to check the link in the description that goes over all the details, or you can simply just Google us, freelanceclients.com, and that's pretty much it. And you can also click and watch the video on the screen where I share the exact cold DM that is booking calls for writers in 2025. In case you want to do this alone, you know what types of messages your specialist has to send to business owners, right? With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.